You are listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, presented by Richard A. Boxshall, in which I chronicle my life and attempts to become a professional writer by, doing some writing daily, hopefully. Hello, you're listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, and it is Thursday the 30th of May today. And today is a very exciting day because I'm flying to China later, and I genuinely don't know if it's going to be possible for me to do the podcast from there. So in theory, I should be able to upload a VPN and bits and pieces like that, or use a VPN to make sure it's uploadable. But some funny things have been happening. So I always do the podcast either on my laptop or on my phone, but there's been a couple of times when there's three main distribution places. It's available through several places, but the main ones are Spotify. It's now on Apple Music, and also YouTube. Now the problem with YouTube is every now and then it automatically uploads from Spotify, but sometimes it makes it private. So a lot of the stuff that goes on my channel, because it's writing that hopefully one day may get published, every bit of writing I do ends up on there, but I'm kind of keeping it as an archive, and I set it to private. But the podcast should automatically upload and be public, so anybody can listen to them, and most of them do, but random occasional ones don't. So that's weird. So if you're listening on YouTube and I struggle and I appear not to be doing anything, I apologise. That's because of the problem in China, which means you'll have 6 of the bloody things to listen to when I can actually get onto YouTube and change the settings, which I can't do from my phone, and it's my phone that has the VPN. So yeah, it might not be possible. We shall see. But what I wanted to talk about today was what I did over the last 2 days has been quite encouraging in terms of when I move on to my new writing model. So at the moment I am editing Empress of the Trees. I have another 5 full chapters to edit. The 6th chapter is partially written, but once I've finished editing those, as I've said before, I want to move on to a write and edit model. And so that involves literally writing the chapter straight away and then editing it. What I've effectively done in the last 2 days is a trial run for that. So I'm quite keen to put some new writing on my website a little bit regularly. So I made a decision earlier this month that I was going to try and put one of my Doctor Who and the Bill crossover short stories. The title's project is called 6040 for reasons I will explain now. Last year when I started the project, 60th anniversary of Doctor Who, 40th anniversary of the Bill, but it sounds like a percentage thing, doesn't it? 6040. Anyway, so this month the story that went onto my website was one I actually wrote in November last year, but I've kind of decided I want to try and put one of these short stories on every month, at least until I feel the project has run out of legs and I want to stop doing it. So the day before yesterday, so on the 27th, I started writing a short story. Now I watched one episode of Doctor Who, Father's Day from 2005, and one episode of The Bill. Oh, that was my computer making loud noises, sorry. One episode of The Bill from the year that I've set this in, 1987. Which was the year the Doctor Who episode was set in. Even though it was broadcast in 2005, it was set in 1987. And over the last 2 days, I have written a 4,000 word short story and edited it. So I've got it to the point where it's not perfect, but if this was a chapter in a larger writing project, I could probably, if I wrote and edited 4,000 words in 2 days, some of the chapters are longer, sometimes up to twice that length. So it could be that they'll end up being twice that long, 8,000 words, which could mean it might take me 4 days to write it. But I'm cool with that. I'm absolutely cool with that. So it hasn't felt like a massive imposition going straight in and doing the editing. And this wasn't meant to be a dry run of the new writing model. It was just meant to be, I wanted to get a short story finished so that I'd have one to put on my website in June. But it has acted as a trial run, and as I say, I'm very pleased with how it went. Once again, I like the little story. I think it captures the voices of the characters on both series, although to be honest, there's only very brief appearances. Like with most of them, to be honest, there's only very brief appearances by the Doctor Who characters. Once again, it's about it's the T. A friend of mine has just put in the chat that writing is the TG model, tried and tested, and that she should trademark it. That's my friend TG Campbell. I'm sure I've mentioned it on the podcast before, but if you go to www.bowstreetsociety.com, you'll see a series of books and short story collections from the excellent Bow Street Society series. I thoroughly recommend you go and buy them. They're all available on amazon.co.uk and amazon.com. That'll be £5, please. But yeah, as I was saying, that it is the writing model that I intend to move to, and I find it quite encouraging that over the last 2 days I've managed to make it work for me. Whilst I'm in China, I have finished the screen read through of chapter 27, so I will try and print out chapter 27 and take it with me and do a paper edit of chapter 27. Hopefully I will be able to do all of this in China. As I say, it's quite possible that I won't be able to, unfortunately, which will be a shame. I honestly don't know if Twitch works in China, and again, I have a VPN on my phone, but I can't afford to do all the live streaming through the phone because it will use up too much data. So there's a possibility I'm going to be out of the picture until the 4th of June, which is when I return. I will endeavour to do the podcast. If I have to use the VPN to upload the podcast, I will, but I'm not going to be able to live stream using the VPN because I literally will lose all of my available data, which is relatively expensive for the amount of data that we're talking about. Thank you very much, everyone who's listened. I can actually see I've got a couple more subscribers, which is lovely, and I can see there's quite a few views on YouTube and also on Spotify. So thank you very much to everybody who's listened. Hopefully I'll be back tomorrow, but at the very latest, I'll be back on the 4th of June. Thank you for listening. Take care. Bye-bye. You have been listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, presented by Richard A. Boxall. Thank you for tuning in to my random ramblings, and if you'd like to know more about me or my projects, visit my link tree at linktr.ee/Richard Wright, capital R, capital W. Thank you for listening.